So, I have my phone right here because when I hold it up, I tend to look away from the camera more. Anyway, I just wanted to come on because I just wanted to share a couple of things that have been on my mind lately and today. So we're wrapping up Gemini season, wrapping up the sun being in Gemini, we're wrapping up a whole 30 days. Wait a second, 10, 20, 30. Yeah, 30 days of the sun in Gemini. So this is when we're more communicative, we're more intellectual. We want stimulation, we want curiosity. And we want to feel like we're living a life that's alive and full of spontaneity, where we're very much in our minds thinking, and talking a lot. But then when we get into Cancer, we can get grounded. We can start applying all the stuff that we have learned about and then root it down to the earth. I mean, Cancer's kind of a practical energy. I mean, think about it. It is a water sign, but it's very similar to Taurus. So there's a lot of noise when the sun's in Gemini, a lot of chatter, a lot of things going on. But then starting tomorrow, which is the solstice, there is going to be this movement into initiating how are we connected with our emotions? How is the information that we are learning making us feel? Is it bringing us joy? Is it bringing us peace? Is it adding value to our lives? Or is it just meaningless, a waste of time? And what are the stories that we're telling ourselves emotionally? For example, a story that I'm telling myself right now is that the live stream that I am doing is one of the many videos that I've deleted. Many videos. I've deleted many videos in the past that I made enlisted in private, that I put a lot of time into, that I put a lot of energy into. I can't do anything more about those videos. It's done. So the story that I'm telling myself is it's difficult to move on and be present and embrace all that there is now because of all of the impurities that I have done in the past. And you can't change the past. And I've made a promise. Guess what? I've deleted so much. I have gotten rid of so much that I'm sick and tired of doing anything that is not public in terms of producing content. So that's what I've decided to do from now on. And I decided to be very open and give as much as myself. If you can hear a vacuum running in the background, then that's just a noise. I want to give as much of myself as I want to. Open up as much as I feel comfortable opening up. So now we are moving from the mental realm, Gemini, and we are rooting into Cancer. We're getting back in touch with our body. We're getting in touch with how are we feeling, not so much what we're thinking, but how we're feeling. What do we want? How do we feel in this moment? What kind of interaction do we want as a result of our feeling? What kind of content do we want to engage in as a result of our feeling? What kind of activities that we want to do that bring us peace? That maybe we don't prioritize taking care of ourselves. Where does the rubber have to hit the road? Like being online. This is a perfect example. I go online, I watch videos, I read posts on the Instagram, but nothing really, how do you apply what it is that you watch and engage in and learn it? And bring it down to earth and actually make something happen and actually do something about it. That's a really big question to ask and something to think about. Is Saturn going retrograde in Pisces, the Sun being in Cancer? So I believe that there's going to be a time when the Sun is going to come to a trine with Saturn, because the Sun travels for 365 days around the zodiac. It's very predictable. So there is a time during the year when the Sun and Saturn, there's a couple times when it trines. In this case, the Saturn's in Pisces, the Sun's going to be in Cancer, it's going to trine Saturn once, and the Sun's going to be in Scorpio, it's going to trine Saturn again in that sign, in those two signs. Once a year, the Sun and Saturn are conjunct. And we have Saturn retrograding in Pisces, the Sun in Cancer. I would encourage you over the next sort of 30 days, while the Sun is in Cancer, to prioritize self-care, to be very honest with yourself and to make a commitment that I am going to do this. I am going to put value into what I am hearing from this YouTube video and make it mean something. I want to make this mean something. I want more meaning in my life than all of the information that I'm engaging in and all the things that I'm doing. That I want more. That I want more spiritual grounding into the emotions of my life, if that makes sense. Surround ourselves with people that makes us feel nourished and uplifted, because we can become very sensitive to the people that drain our energy, that are not right for us, that are not true for us. We can do certain things. We can become more emotionally open, more emotionally vulnerable. Really come back in touch with what it is that we're feeling. Take some time and sit with ourselves. We're very busy. We do all these things. We work, we, watch videos and, read all these kind of things, occupying our mind. But what about sitting with ourselves, sitting with what we're feeling, doing that self-reflective process where we're really getting to know ourselves better at a deeper level. Another thing here is certainly doing spiritual practices. We can journal and write down what we're thinking. We can, meditate and all those kind of things, and really getting outside in nature. Connecting to Mother Earth, because Cancer is a mother energy. Represents something very nurturing, something very feminine, something very caring. And loving? And where have you not balanced the, mental, engaging your mind, doing what you want to do, achieving what you want to achieve, versus more of the feminine way of living your life, which is let's sit down, let's be present, let's do self-care, let's feel, let's just, read something, or let's listen to music, whatever it is. And it is about the prioritization of these things. And, really, you need to be the one to make that happen. And it's not getting disciplined with a certain practice or, locking yourself in, boxing yourself in, restricting yourself, and I must do this on this day. This is how it must be. But notice where, what? I feel like I want to do this, but actually this would be a better use of my time and energy. This would serve me in a much more meaningful way. This is more healthy for me. This is more important to me at this time. This helps me bring myself into balance more, whatever it is. Whatever the activity may be. It is the season of oracle cards. I like to think of Cancer season as oracle card season. If you have oracle cards or tarot cards, it's a great idea to get those out and use them. I feel like I say things, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I don't do it. I just don't do it. I say that I'm going to do it. I say that I'm going to read this, but I don't do it. Well, now is the time to make it happen. Now that we're settling down into Cancer energy, we're settling down into the moon, lunar energy, our emotions, what brings us back into balance, what brings us peace, all these kind of things. Because Gemini energy can go off in one direction and then another direction. And keeping your focus on one particular task and committing to that task, really enriching your mind in a certain task, can be difficult when you have so many options, so many windows of opportunity, and you want to do this over here, you want to do this over here. Understanding that Saturn is in a water sign, there can be freedom in boundaries, freedom in limitations. I'm going to limit myself to this amount of time of social media. I'm going to only watch this amount of Instagram stories. I'm only going to eat this much sugar or watch this amount of time on the nightly news. Or I am going to spend this amount of time during my day. I'm going to spend 10 minutes meditating. I'm going to make less videos and start receiving more. I'm going to stop producing so much and start receiving more. Every time I have an idea that I want to express, I don't have to be burdened to always having to express it and produce something of it. There's actually other things that I can do, and we're not meant to always do and produce everything that is on our minds. We're here to do that, but we're also here to be, to live, to receive, to experience whatever the situation may be in our lives. So that's also important to consider. Another thing that's coming into my mind right now is becoming very judgmental of ourselves. And, this can, show up where we do something, we feel a habit pattern that we don't want to feel, that we were trying to break. And we continually give into that pattern because it's similar, because it's familiar, because we know it, because we're so familiar to it. We're so used to giving in. It feels so comfortable. It feels right. It brings us joy, peace, pleasure, but it is not sustainable because it is a continual loop that will not let up and will continue to be fed. Continually have to need to be fed. When it comes to habit patterns that we're trying to break, it is really about, we have the habit pattern. We're not going to judge and criticize ourselves negatively or harshly or turn in on ourselves with a mean internal dialogue. We're just going to sit back and observe. I gave into this pattern, so now I'm going to just regroup myself to moving on to a better direction. I'm going to regroup. I'm not going to give in. I'm going to set a timer before I give in. I'm going to actually be willing to be uncomfortable. During this particular period of time, so that I can be better off in the future. Saturn's in a water sign. Saturn's about the long term. What will work for me in the long term. I could easily wash my hands right now. I could easily clean my phone right now, but I'm not going to do it because I know that it's not logical, and I know that it fuels that old habit pattern. I think I want to actually do the things that I'm doing lifetime. So that I like to find ways where I can kill two birds with one stone. I can do this and I can do this at the same time. I think that I'm going to do that. So, the other little thought that I have, there's actually several, is, first of all, Cancer, the North Node in Taurus. One of the things about it is about self-worth. Self-worth. I'm worthy of having this or doing this. But I'm also not going to feed patterns that are not healthy and that are not work to me. I'm going to find the peace and inner security inside myself to feel good in the moment without having to feed the pattern that I'm trying to break. And one of the things about the North Node in Taurus is doing the practical things to break any bad pattern that you have. That's one of the huge things about the South Node in Scorpio, is where you have negative, bad, destructive, abusive, unhealthy patterns that you're continually feeding. Emotional patterns. Obsessive, compulsive, intense patterns. That's a huge part of the South Node in Scorpio. And the North Node in Taurus is going to take the practical steps, slow and steady, wins the race one step at a time to heal and break these patterns. We're not going to rush it. It's not going to happen overnight. We're just going to do step by step. So that's something that's also really prevalent on my mind, and that's something that is very relevant to me in my life. I am not, perfect, and not, nobody is, and I am working through certain issues in my life that are consuming and that are unhealthy patterns that I am trying to break without getting too specific here. There are times when I watch the astrologers that I follow, and there's something, actually, another note that I have is something called cookbook astrology. You think of a cookbook, you think of all the list of ingredients, and if you follow my channel, I have I do astrology forecasts. I do videos on certain placements in the natal chart. I'm now doing weekly horoscopes where I'm going through the energies, the astrological energies, aspects, transits, lunations of the week. So I'm doing that. And also full moon, new moon forecast videos. I'm going to do a video on the lunar nodes changing signs next month. So hopefully next month. We'll do it earlier, who knows. But one of the things I could say about myself is that I do little bits, and I sort of talk about the individual pieces without blending and tying it together. And I notice that I talk about this over here, and then I talk about this, all these different elements and aspects. But I feel like what I'm saying is not entirely blended together. That I could simplify and sort of weave the threads together. That's, part of what I notice about my work, I guess you could say, my videos. I also give a lot of information, so much information that some of that I feel is unneeded, and I'm trying to make it put less information and give away and exhaust less information in my videos, because I feel like there's only a finite amount of astrology, particularly the aspects. There's only so much information out there about the aspects. So I am trying to cut it down, to put less information, the important information. Give less. Less is more. That's something that I'm doing. That's something that I want, and that's something that I work on. I always feel better when I don't feel like I've drained every last bit of information out there. But anyway, when it comes to applying what you're doing, I find that there are many sources to apply astrology if you want to learn it in a structured, concrete, practical way. Not necessarily through, via YouTube or, articles online, but in a way by, a book or a course. Those cost money. And there's a course that I really want to take from an astrologer that I've followed for a long time, and it's very, very expensive. To be exact, it's $1,000, and I really want to take the course. I have a lot of knowledge on astrology and continue to grow and build on my knowledge of it, but personally, I'm taking this, or I would want to take this course as a spiritual sort of experience and for my growth, evolution, and to understand myself better, to fall in love with myself, to know myself more, to have more understanding and compassion and deeper self-knowledge and wisdom. That's the whole reason why I want to take this, but it is so expensive. It is ridiculously expensive. It's kind of unreasonable in my mind. Kind of unreasonable. It's very unreasonable in my mind because it's $1,000 to pay for. I really don't want people in my life to complain about the complications and inconveniences with money. I really want the people in my life to turn me on, to inspire me, to motivate me, to make my own money, to, do all the things with money. But when it comes to that course that I want to take, it is an opportunity to apply what I'm learning and apply it to my life, do the homework assignments available, to do something and make something happen from the information that you're learning and hearing rather than just learning it and hearing it alone. So, but I can't do that because I do not have $1,000. So there are other ways to learn, and sometimes I get the feeling like I'm not going to apply. Getting honest with myself, it's just never going to happen unless I make it happen. And there are other ways to apply it. Like, for example, reading books or buying less expensive courses on the topic of astrology. So that's something huge as well. But anyway, I think there was one thing that I was going to say, and I forgot. So, what I'm going to do, and you can certainly do this with me, is I'm going to do something like I'm going to do a meditation, time meditation, a silent meditation, and do that. So, just gonna switch gears here. Oh. Okay. It's still running. So, that is all that I wanted to do for now. It's so important to find ways where we can have that part of our mind, that, bugs us and gives us all these thoughts that are very annoying, to just slow down, to sit down. And we can become more present. We can surrender whatever it is that we need to do, whatever it is that we want to do. Whatever it is that we need to take care of at that time. Whatever state or condition that you're in, find a way where you can bring yourself back to peace. And so that's what this Cancer season is going to be about. How can you bring yourself back to peace? What are your emotional needs and wants, honoring them? But not when they are compulsive or obsessive or unreasonable or unnecessary. That you feel the need to do it, that you feel like you really want to do it, yet it's unhealthy, and you know that it is excessive, unreasonable, and you're self-sabotaging, you're feeding negative patterns, which, in order to be a better person, in order to be the person that you want to be, in order to live a better, much more happy, joyful, carefree, peaceful life, it takes the trusting that being uncomfortable is the right thing to be, is the logical thing to be, the better experience to have. Because the harder the challenge, the more you persist, the more you grow as a person. It's about breaking the need, that emotional need to do something, because you feel it and you really want to do it and you have to do it. It's compulsive. Washing my hands. Anyway, that's all for now. By the way, I hope that when I look away, I hope I don't look away from the camera. I'm conscious of that. But I'm also not going to delete the many videos that I filmed where I may have not looked as much in the camera as other times. Because that would be perfectionism. It's not good to be a perfectionist. It's good to work on self-improvement. But it is not positive to fall into the trap of perfectionism, where you feel like you're not enough and you feel, so guilty about what you've done, and then you judge yourself for doing this and you doing that. What are the emotional stories that you tell yourself? Can you sit with those? Can you be present with those? And can you release those emotional narratives during Cancer season 2023?